guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called The Male Lead's Nephew Like Me So Much. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! A small crush can be endearing, but when it turns into an obsession, things tend to end poorly. This is the case of Charlize Lienta, the only beautiful daughter of Duke Lienta. She has a crush on Archduke Calix Eludion, the half-brother of the current emperor. As she develops feelings for him, she becomes obsessed with him and starts stalking him. However, since he already has a partner, she tries to kill her to take him from her. That is how Charlize ends up meeting her demise because of a sudden turn of events, or at least, that is how it's established for her as the villainess of this story. Indeed, this is a fictional world. A year ago, she was reincarnated as the villain of this story. Fortunately, it was at a point in the story where the main characters hadn't met yet. Because of this, she was determined to make a change. She wanted to avoid a future where she would end up dead. In order to do that, she wrote a letter to the Archduke and disappeared into a distant territory. Unlike in the original novel, she decided to live far away peacefully. So far, Charlize is enjoying her life in the countryside. One day, she receives a note from her father ordering her to return to the capital. This is the start of her journey back to the capital after a year. On the road home, she decides to stop the carriage upon witnessing some adults bullying a little child. Since she refuses to leave the child alone back in the streets, she decides to take him home with her temporarily. Upon Charlie's arrival at the mansion, her father immediately assumes that the little boy is her child. She quickly denies it and changes the subject. Shortly after, he informs her that the capital is currently a mess since the royal heir is alive. The Archduke has figured out that the royal heir that everyone thought died 7 years ago is still alive. After this information spread, the whole capital went crazy under the rumors of the Archduke looking for his nephew, including the Emperor. Originally, the female lead in the story, Ilian, was the one who found the royal heir and took him to the Archduke. Since the royal heir became attached to her, she didn't have any other choice but to stay at the house of the male main character. This is how the two of them slowly started to fall in love with each other. Currently, Charlize doesn't understand why this news is relevant for her return until her father mentions the letter she previously sent to the Archduke. She then concludes that they are concerned about her encountering trouble while searching for his nephew. To be fair, the original Charlize Lienta in the novel could only be described as a mad woman. She was a loose cannon who reacted harshly in most situations. As a result, her current reputation is severely tarnished and there's nothing she can do about it. Afterward, she decides to stay silent and escape after the royal heir is found. It likely won't take long to locate him, as his most distinguishing features, black hair and blue eyes, are well known. Speaking of his features, the young boy Charlize brought in earlier matches the royal heir's description, particularly given that he is around 7 years old. Later that day, as the maids bathe the boy, Charlize discusses with her father what they plan to do with him. Is this a coincidence or not? By the way, the reason why the two main characters meet in the original story is that the female lead found the royal heir. If she is the one who brings him back, the flow of the story will be altered somehow. Shortly, he expresses his heartfelt gratitude for her taking care of him. She is the first person to show him kindness, which is why he's very grateful. His growing attachment to her complicates her plans for a peaceful life, which now seems impossible. During dinner, the little boy gets excited as he eats delicious food for the first time. He is truly grateful to the Lienta family for taking good care of him. This sweet boy is the legitimate son of the emperor and his wife, which makes him the direct successor to the throne after the emperor passed away. Moreover, he supposedly died alongside his mother 7 years ago. Now that he has reappeared, this means that he is the only one with the sole right to claim the throne among any other member of the royal family. This effectively means that he has the power to kick the current emperor out of his position and claim it for himself. Surely, the current rulers are aware of that fact, so they won't stay put if they find out that the royal heir is alive. Charlize thinks of taking him to Calix, since he is probably the only one powerful enough to protect him from the current ruler. However, if she does that, the opportunity for the main characters to meet will disappear. Shortly, Duke Lienta excuses himself because he's having a stomachache due to stress. Because of this, the child blames himself, as he assumes that the Duke must be feeling sick for having to be next to a dirty and smelly kid like him. Growing up, everyone else always seemed to feel bad because of him. Upon hearing this, Charlize immediately consoled him. Just looking at him makes her feel good. From now on, no one can say mean things to him anymore, as she mentions his uncle who will protect him. Although the course of the story has already changed because of their meeting, the safety of the kid is what comes first. She tells him that she will bring him to his uncle the next day. Additionally, she assures him that his uncle is a good guy, despite looking quite scary. This makes him sad, afraid that he won't see her again. He doesn't believe there's another better person than her. He's so soft and pure, my heart is melting. Since Charlize is known as Calix's stalker, he will misunderstand if she appears with his nephew there. However, because of the kid's growing attachment to her, she decides to try to see him once in a while under one condition. This stresses him out since it has been a week since the search for the royal heir was announced, yet they still haven't found him. Afraid that the throne will be taken away from him, the current emperor may have already gotten rid of the child. For Calix, the only thing that he cares about is for the nephew to be alive and safe. He is willing to give anything to whoever brings the child to him safely. The next day, Charlize arranges for a plane carriage to discreetly transport the royal heir to Calix. She instructs him not to mention her name to the Archduke and to act as if they are strangers. This is her condition because if the Archduke discovers she was the one who brought him there, he'll be mad and they will never be able to see each other again. Shortly after, the royal heir makes a pinky promise to her, swearing to honor her request. Upon arriving at the royal palace, the royal heir hesitates to go inside. He wants to tell Charlize that he wishes to stay with her forever, but he fears she might find it annoying. In the end, he resolves not to bother her anymore, realizing that if he does, they may never see each other again. From now on, Charlize doesn't need to worry, as Calix will take good care of the child. However, she is troubled by the fact that, unlike the original story, she has disrupted the first meeting between the male and female leads. Even though she's not a big fan of the novel, she feels sorry for Ilian for missing the chance to have a better life. She doesn't want to meddle in their affairs, but eventually decides to sponsor poor artists and the orphanage upon getting home. Upon hearing her plan, Duke Liente is moved. He promptly decides to speak with the banker and provides her with a temporary allowance to help her proceed with her plan. He is willing to give her everything she wants, indulging her too much. This is probably why the original Charlize is very arrogant and bossy. Several days later, she gets a lot of pocket money from her father in her bank account. Afterward, she proceeds to withdraw her money as scheduled. Shortly after, she witnesses Ilian getting bullied by a man who is destroying her paintings. Irian, the female lead of the novel, comes from a humble family background. She has put up with the despise from others since she was born. If everything is on track, she's destined for the male lead, and Sasha, the royal heir, is the turning point that will change her whole life. However, since Charlize ruined it, she decides to lend her a helping hand, or else she will be remorseful. Shortly after, she approaches Ilian and compliments her paintings. On the other hand, Calix offers to read a book to help Sasha fall asleep, but he refuses. Instead, he decides to stay with him until he drifts off. He is willing to do anything for his nephew without getting tired. As the royal heir drifts to sleep, he softly calls out Sister Charl repeatedly. Uh-oh, they're going to discover Charlize's secret in no time. While in his office, Liban, Calix's aide, catches him mentioning the name Charl. He then explains that Sasha kept mumbling that name while sleeping and even burst into tears. He assumes that there must be a reason that the royal heir said nothing about his benefactor, because he's a clever and smart child. With this, he orders Liban to investigate in silence and find out who rescued his nephew. Moreover, Calix plans to postpone this ceremony to announce the existence of Prince Sasha next week. In the meantime, he wants to find the girl named Charl as soon as possible. A few days later, Charlize starts getting anxious about the thought of the ceremony, even though there's no chance she'll be invited. The announcement ceremony should be held during this time, but there's been no update until now. She thinks that Ilian will attract the Grand Duke's attention in the ceremony, and everything will be back on track. This time, the situation will take a turn for the better. Previously, Charlize tried to purchase one of Ilian's paintings, but she refused, not wanting her work to be bought out of pity. However, as the only daughter of the Liente family, Charlize is accustomed to getting what she wants and isn't someone who extends help merely out of pity. Presently, she stares in awe at the painting after buying it successfully. Now, the only thing that matters is the royal heir's announcement. During the meal, Duke Liente expresses concern that the little boy might not be the real royal heir. However, it seems unlikely since he has the exact same features as described. Charlize thinks that Calix is probably just protecting Sasha from the current ruler by hiding him away. Shortly after, the butler informs them that she has been invited to the ball at the royal heir's edifice. Oh wow, that's so unexpected! Duke Leente is surprised by the sudden invitation. In the original story, Charlize was not supposed to be invited. Since this is a special occasion when the prince is first introduced to people, many aristocrats are invited to the ball. The difference in plot between the original version and the extended one makes her quite uneasy. But that's none of her business. In the end, she refuses to attend the ball. Instead, Charlize plans to visit their family's domain since it would be a better choice than just lazing around in the imperial city. Meanwhile, her father insists on helping her with Calyx if she likes him that much, clearly misunderstanding the situation. In fact, she no longer likes the Archduke and can hardly remember his face. Shortly after, she tells her father once again that she will not attend the ball. A few days later, she ends up going to the ball because her father insists, and she can't refuse him. Shortly after, this ceremony begins as Calyx formally announces the introduction of Sasha Rosel Alopene, the royal heir. Now that Charlize has the final confirmation, she can finally put her mind at ease. Although it has not been so long since she noticed that Sasha was ignoring her. It seems like he is told to keep his distance from her, which makes her quite upset. For a moment, she feels Calyx's gaze on her during the event. As he approaches, she stops panicking when he thanks her for attending and asks to speak with her privately. Because of this, a flood of thoughts overwhelms her. As she anxiously meets his gaze, visions of the future suddenly flash through her mind. A vision of Charlize's father sacrificing himself to save her, dying in her arms, pops into her mind. This scene has neither occurred in the novel nor in her memories, which feels stranger to her. Could it be an omen for the future? I'm so curious! If looking into Calyx's eyes allowed her to glimpse the future, then she wants to see it again. Shortly after, they head to the balcony where they can speak privately. Without delay, he asks if she is the one who brought Sasha to him before. Admittedly, Charlize hasn't been searching for the royal heir intentionally. She was simply passing by and saw him by chance even before noticing the flyers. Thanks to her, Sasha was rescued. Now he asks her what she desires, promising to grant it. Rather than stating her true desire, Charlize shifts the conversation by presenting Calyx with a gift she bought for Sasha. Her only request is for him to deliver the necklace adorned with luminous gems to his nephew. Originally, it was supposed to be Ilian's present to Sasha. The necklace that can shine in the dark was the only thing he could depend on, especially after being bullied by some kids out of jealousy. However, since the events have changed, Ilian couldn't give it to him. This time, Charlize has no choice but to take her place and give the present to him instead. In addition, she assures Calyx that it has nothing to do with black magic and that it's completely safe. Eventually, he accepts her gift graciously and agrees to fulfill her request. Unfortunately, it may be difficult for her to meet Sasha today, so he decides to send her an official invitation letter later on to see him. This is a great opportunity for her, as she is determined to foresee the future once again. Meanwhile, Sasha recalls Liban's advice from several days ago, to pretend not to know Charlize because she's a dangerous woman. During the ceremony, one of the guests warns him to be cautious of her and speaks ill of her. The guest goes on to mention that she likes his uncle, but is interrupted when Calyx arrives just in time to intervene. Shortly after, he proceeds to give the present to him from his sister, Charles. Furthermore, he instructs Liban to inform Charlize that she can now meet the royal heir, much to Sasha's delight and excitement. Upon spotting her, he rushes over and embraces her. After she congratulates him for finally finding his real family, he urges her not to address him as Your Highness, and he shares his desire to remain by her side. Aw, poor thing, he's totally smitten with Charlize. 1 week later, Charlize heads to Calyx's edifice after the invitation letter to see Sasha was sent. She is not expecting it to arrive early, but she just can't resist the little boy whenever she sees him. Moreover, if it hadn't been for the ability to foresee the future, she would be in her family's domain right now. She is determined to find out what's happening. When they reunite, Sasha eagerly takes Charlize to the library and his room. He appears to relish his life in the mansion, where everyone treats him kindly. As he proudly shows her his wooden horse toy, she can't help but cry, moved by his innocence and charm. No, their relationship is so wholesome. He rushes to hug her immediately. After exchanging affection, he surprises her by asking if she likes his uncle. Now that the rumor has reached the young boy, she takes this chance to let everyone know that she doesn't like him at all. Afterward, they walk to the garden together and spot Calyx there. As Charlize gazes into his eyes, she foresees a troubling future for the royal heir. Anyway, Sasha talks proudly about Charlize to his uncle, saying she's the greatest person in the world. it seems like he adores her a lot and even brings along her gift for him all the time. In gratitude for all she has done for his nephew, Calyx grants her 2 wishes. He also invites her to visit his estate once more. She intends to return, planning to use one of the wishes granted by the Archduke to arrange a meeting between Sasha and Elian. Several days later, Elian expresses gratitude to Charlize, now that many people are interested in her drawings. After complimenting her talent, she initiates the topic of getting married. Unlike her parents, who love each other, Elian is unsure if she could be happy like them. She simply wants to spend the rest of her life painting. Indeed, the mere mention of painting makes her smile so happily. Moreover, she refuses to take part in the prayer festival and decides to attend the exhibition instead. Now, Charlize feels disheartened as her plan is ruined, not wanting to disrupt the original plot. On the day of the holy day, Charlize ends up coming alone. While looking for Sasha, she bumps into Rosetta Aklis, one of the characters who hates her in the novel. Rosetta is still the same, as she curiously asks if she's become a little more gentle after resting in the territory for a year. To be fair, the original Charlize treated her badly many times, so her actions are understandable. Although the original story is a bit messy, there are still things she doesn't know. Thus, she needs to clear up the rumor that she likes Calyx. When she asks her for a favor, Rosetta suddenly excuses herself. Afterward, Charlize continues looking for Sasha. As she heads to the forest, she hears voices on the other side near the lake. Shortly after, she witnesses some young boys bullying the royal heir and talking badly about her. She intervenes immediately to stop them. After confronting them, the boys, despite being the bullies, begin to cry. In a fit of anger, Lord Bayer, one of the boys, pushes Sasha into the lake. This place is known as the Nest of the Beast God because within its temple lies a beast of light sleeping in the lake bed. It's considered a sacred lake, and falling into it does not lead to drowning. Despite Sasha being an imperial figure who can still breathe, Charlize jumps in to save him, hoping to prevent him from enduring painful memories of suffering alone in the dark. Fortunately, Calyx saved them just in time. He looks at her with evident concern.
Calyx is waiting for Sasha to wake up at the Duke of Eludion's mansion that evening when he suddenly remembers Charles worrying about
her Prince Charming. Calyx finds it strange and amusing that Sasha worries for and pursues Charlize, even though he has only known her for a maximum of 2 days. Then, Calyx remembers that he experienced that same warmth from his brother, and that it is naturally difficult to forget the warmth that arrives at the most crucial moment. This helps him fully understand Sasha's behavior toward Charlize. While Calyx is waiting for Sasha to wake up, Liban then reports to Calyx that Lord Bayer wants to apologize to Sasha. Hearing this, Calyx then instructs Liban to consider Lord Bayer temporarily since they immediately apologize. Calyx also instructs Liban to handle the other clans without mercy. Meanwhile, Charlize is in the other room trying to drink the tonic the Duke has specially made for her. While trying the drink, Calyx suddenly appears, asking about her well-being and suggesting that she rest more. Charlize replies to Calyx that she is feeling better and thanks Calyx for saving her. Hearing this, Calyx reminds Charlize that he is supposed to thank her for saving Charles. Calyx then informs Charlize that the clan who pushed Charles are the ones the Empress favors the most. Calyx also tells her that Charles might threaten the Empress since he has claim to the throne, which makes him a thorn in her side. Thus, Charlize helping Charles means she is now involved in the situation. Calyx then suggests to Charlize that it might be a great idea to let everyone know that she is the benefactor of the Grand Duke's family, and Charlize agrees with Calyx's suggestion. Upon arriving home, Charlize's father is waiting for her at the entrance of their mansion to welcome her and ask Charlize how she is. Seeing Charlize's father's worried face, Charlize tells her father that she's fine and not injured. After hearing this, Charlize's father hugs her and reminds her that he cannot stop worrying about her since she is his baby, which makes the maids adore them. Oh, look how cute Charlize's father is! After Charlize's interaction with her father, she suddenly opens the wrong room, thinking it's her room, only to find a light telling her to come inside and close the door. The light then introduces itself as the Beast of Light and asks Charlize to help it since Charles, his master, is afraid of it, thus asking Charlize what exact body it must transform for Charles to like it. Hearing this, Charlize agrees to help it while also asking the Beast of Light for one favor since it is known that there are many treasures in the nest of the Beast of Light. The next day, Charlize receives an invitation from the Empress stating that she's invited to a tea party, which Charlize is not happy hearing about. Ugh, another nasty Empress? At the Empress's palace, Charlize is in the room together with the Empress, who seriously thanks Charlize for saving Sasha. Hearing this, Charlize feels that the Empress is not really sincere with her thanks, but hides it by also thanking the Empress. When Charlize notices that the Empress is drinking her tea, Charlize also looks at her own tea and thinks twice about drinking it, since Empress Katarina Lenik is known to be a druggist who is good at making extreme poison. When Charlize is about to drink her tea, Katarina asks her if she wants to be engaged with Calyx since she's the benefactor of the Grand Duke family. Hearing the Empress's suggestion, Charlize respectfully declines Katarina and tells her that she doesn't intend to marry yet. Next, Katarina then instructs Marquise to investigate Charlize, since she is condescending and even knows how to refuse an offer to seduce Calyx. Katarina also tells Marquise her desire to get rid of Sasha so she can totally claim the throne. Upon arriving home, Charlize is then informed by the maids that Elian is waiting in the office. Hearing this, Charlize then walks to the office. As she enters the room, Elian happily congratulates her since there are rumors that Charlize is successful in making Calyx fall in love with her. Charlize feels awkward with the whole marriage rumor talk, thus she suddenly changes the subject by asking Elian what their meeting is about. Elian then gives Charlize invitations to the exhibit and tells Charlize there will be a lot of great work since some works are from Marquise Vanachel. Hearing Marquise Vanachel's name, Charlize agrees to go to the exhibit since the Empress might also go there since Marquise is Katarina's subordinate in the original stories. A week later, Charlize's mansion is in chaos, and she is making a big deal of Sasha and Calyx visiting her mansion, and also since a maid lost Sasha's letter since it did not have the official seal of the Grand Duke's house. Charlize is then informed that Calyx and Sasha's carriage has arrived at the mansion's entrance. Hearing this, Charlize approaches them and warmly welcomes Sasha and Calyx. Sasha then looks at Charlize and tells her he misses her so much. Oh, this cute and innocent boy! Charlize then tells Sasha that she is not annoyed with him and that there is a little problem with Sasha's letter. Sasha innocently tells Charlize that he copied what Liban wrote and carefully placed and sealed it in an envelope. Hearing this, Charlize suddenly realizes that the letter she received might be open since she received it without a seal. Charlize then invites Calyx and Sasha inside for tea. While having tea in the garden, Sasha cutely points out the birds while sitting on Charlize's lap. Charlize then asks Sasha if he likes animals and what animals he likes. Sasha innocently answers that he likes dragons. After hearing Sasha's answer, Charlize is shocked since there's no way the Beast of Light can transform into a dragon and be Sasha's pet. Looking at Charlize's weird reaction, Sasha then explains that he likes dragons since they always appear in the fairy tale stories that Calyx reads to him every night. Thus, he enjoys them. This little boy has weird taste. Calyx then joins their conversation by telling Charlize that she needs to see Sasha more often, since Sasha is happier and bubblier with Charlize's presence. Charlize agrees, but informs Calyx that she can't meet Sasha for 3 days since she will participate in an exhibit party. Remembering that Elian will also be at the exhibit party, she then invites Calyx since it will be a perfect time for Elian and Calyx to meet officially. When Calyx and Sasha are about to go home, Calyx informs Charlize that the accident at the river is taken care of, and Duke Bayer wants to apologize directly to Sasha. After the Calyx carriage left, Charlize asks her butler to classify the letters. The butler then tells Charlize that the name is Ron, but he was on vacation a week ago. Charlize then instructs the butler that she wants a copy of Ron's resume. While reading Ron's resume, Charlize notices that he has so much debt that he has not yet been paid, and that Ron filed for vacation on the day Charlize had a meeting with Katarina. Knowing this, Charlize did not find it a coincidence and now has bad feelings about it. On the day of the exhibit, while Charlize is looking around, she remembers in the original scenes the illegal deeds Katarina did to gain money since they needed it. Charlize's thoughts are interrupted when Elian greets her. Elian then happily tours her on the art pieces Marquise created while praising how meticulously the artworks are made. After Elian shows Charlize her artwork, Charlize then thinks about standing longer while looking at Elian's work so that everyone might also notice it. Charlize's weird thoughts are interrupted when someone calls her name since glasses of wine are about to spill all over her. After hearing the warning, Charlize automatically catches the wine glasses and returns them to the servant. Charlize notices that the servant looks scared because of the commotion he made, and she also notices his habit is the same as Sasha, who was afraid to make eye contact. Charlize then instructs the servant to follow her into a room, and the spectators think that she will punish the servant. Inside the room, Charlize hands the servant an ointment while curiously thinking why the kid did not join the other beggars whom Calyx sent to the orphanage since they're Sasha's old friends. Next, Charlize returns to the ballroom and she suddenly sees the future in Calyx's eyes. A bomb will explode. It may also not mean a real bomb. Charlize's thoughts are interrupted when she notices Ron trying to steal an artwork. Charlize then collars Ron and stops Ron from stealing. Charlize then asks Ron why he deliberately misses Sasha's letter, which Ron tries to deny the accusation. Charlize's interrogation is stopped when Calyx arrives and instructs the guard to lock up Ron in Ratas' mansion. After the commotion, Charlize then tells Calyx that she didn't expect Calyx to attend the exhibit. Calyx explains to Charlize that he participated in the exhibit to expose the truth that most works are fake and that the auction is about Katarina's black fund. Calyx then suddenly tells Charlize that the Empress will kidnap her. Charlize must buy time for Calyx to definitely find and save her. Hearing this, Charlize just stared at Calyx blankly. No, poor Calyx. Calyx then invites Charlize to the garden. At the garden, Elian hurriedly approaches Charlize and asks how she is, to which Charlize replies that she's okay. While Charlize is talking, Elian notices Calyx, making her approach him and greet him. Seeing them together, Charlize realizes that this is the scene that she is expecting where the main characters of the original story meet. I think that the probability that Calyx and Elian will be acquaintances is relatively high, and them being romantically involved is low. While looking at Calyx and Elian talking, Charlize overhears Elian telling Calyx that Charlize spoke to her about him. She then cutely glances at Charlize and gives her a thumbs up. Looks like Elian is acting as her wing woman after all. Seeing the situation, Charlize looks at Elian dumbfoundedly because it is not the scene she pictured for Elian and Calyx. Next, at Charlize's mansion, Ron is kneeling in the punishment room. Upon seeing Charlize, he asks for her forgiveness and to be free. Charlize asks Ron for an explanation of why he ruined the exhibit. Ron then tells Charlize that he did it because he wants to gain a position in the casino and sit forever like Duke Linnick. Upon hearing Duke Linnick's name, Charlize suddenly realizes that because of the high game probability, many people are attracted to the casino since it is also difficult for the nobles to participate. Charlize also realizes that Duke Linnick acts as a casino promoter to the owners, and that Charlize also remembers that in the original story, Katarina also makes an enormous contribution to the casino. Charlize then plans that she will keep all this information to herself to be out of the Empress's wrong side. While seeing Ron's scared face, Charlize releases Ron and makes him promise not to share her name with his boss, who instigated everything in the exhibit. Hearing this, Ron quickly agrees to Charlize and promises to her. During the night, while Charlize is sleeping, she suddenly dreams about her childhood and how everything is blamed on her. Charlize then wakes up from the bad dream and notices that she feels physically drained. Thus, she calls her maid to give her medicine. The maid is happy and cannot believe that Charlize is asking her for medicine since in the past, it was hard for them to make Charlize take her medicine. After drinking the medicine, Charlize is then praised by the maid for being a grown-up since Charlize does not take any medicine even when she's sick in the past, thus making her father worry about her well-being. Meanwhile, at the Empress's palace, Katarina orders Marquise to handle the servant who she paid to steal the artwork, and realizes that she needs to use a different approach to make Charlize follow her commands. The Empress is already getting on my nerves. While Charlize is getting ready, she then realizes the past incidents happened because they want her to surrender, and that Katarina plans to ruin her and make her voluntarily follow all her orders. Charlize also remembers that the original Charlize is also one of Katarina's subordinates, thus making her firmly decide that the Empress will not control her. Next, while looking out her window, Charlize notices that the security and servants are more strict, and that even Katarina can't touch the southern granary since it will also affect the Emperor's virtue. Since Duke Raintha is appointed as the ruler of the South through the Merchant Guild, and is also able to get hold of the Empire's finances, Charlize then thinks that Katarina will find a way to lower the reputation of the Merchant Guild, thus they must be careful about it. The commander of the Capital Guard Squad is interviewing Charlize on what happened during the exhibit's explosion. While the interview is happening, Charlize notices that the guard is somewhat making a report to give to the Empress, thus Charlize does not cooperate with the interview and just slightly answers the questions. After the interview, a guard hands Charlize the candies that the Duke gives. While Charlize enjoys the candies, she notices Alex trying to talk to her uncle, but her uncle insults Alex. Charlize then approaches them and tells Alex's uncle that he's noisy and wants to speak to Alex. When Alex's uncle sees that it is Charlize, he hurriedly excuses himself. Charlize then remembers that Alex is now under the guardianship of her uncle since her parents died, and that Alex's uncle is an ambitious bastard who stole Alex's family seal and appointed himself Alex's guardian. After Alex's uncle leaves, Charlize asks Alex if she wants her to protest. Charlize helps her by being her witness. Alex is shocked that Charlize wants to help her. Charlize also adds that her appointment with Alex is canceled because of her uncle's objection. Next, while Charlize is having her tea, her butler asks her why the Capitol guards paid a visit. Charlize calmly tells him that they are just asking about the exhibit's explosion. The butler then informs Charlize that somebody died. Meanwhile, in the castle, Liban is reporting to Calix about the progress of the investigation regarding the Empress. Liban then hands Calix the letter that has been passed through by many people and tells him that it is challenging to investigate the traces. Liban then curiously asks Calix if the fairy Empress is still alive. Calix then remembers that there is still one more thing that he needs to be confirmed to make sure that the fairy Empress is dead, and he recalled that about a month ago, he received a letter about a sender stating that Sasha is still alive, thus making him doubt that the fairy Empress is still alive. Calix also remembers that his brother is about to unravel who Sasha's biological mother is, but his brother also passed away from an unknown illness. The next day, Sasha is in the garden and is happily running toward Charlize. When Sasha is in front of Charlize, he then concernedly asks Charlize how she is after what happened at the exhibit. Oh, this cute and pure kid. Charlize then tells Sasha that she is fine and eating well too, and thanks Sasha for being concerned. Charlize then asks and invites Sasha to a tour around the garden. Calix then joins their conversation by asking if it is okay to follow Sasha and Charlize, which she awkwardly agrees to. While they are walking around the garden, Sasha notices that there are many beautiful flowers, and curiously asks Charlize the name of the purple flowers. Charlize tells Sasha it is Lysianthus, and Calix also tells them it is his favorite flower. Charlize then realizes that the Lysianthus flowers are planted by the old Charlize, who is a stalker of Calix. The situation is more awkward when Calix teases Charlize that it has been a long time since he toured Charlize's garden. That's right! Old Charlize was so crazy about Calix. Seeing that Calix and Charlize are talking, Sasha grabs Liban and informs them that he wants to greet Duke Reynald. Being alone, Calix then tells Charlize that she must be surprised by Ron's sudden death. While they are talking, Charlize is again able to see the future. After Calix and Sasha leave, Charlize begins to write about the incident when she can see the future. While writing it down, she realizes that she has never seen the future of any other character in the original stories, and she remembers Ratas, a candidate for the position of Calix's fiancé. Ooh, this is bound to get interesting! Meanwhile, Katerina arrives at her house. Upon arrival, Katerina asks the butler how her father is doing. The butler informs her that the doctor has not found the reason for his illness. While staring at her father, Katerina feels strange, like a puzzle piece stuck in the wrong place, even if it is her home. Katerina also remembers how her father considers everyone with the bloodline of the Duke Linnick family as Linnick, including her, even if nobles do not accept illegitimate children. Duke Linnick kills everyone who knows Katerina's existence to be able not to leave a stain on his reputation, even though the Duchess is killed and is not able to avoid the tragedy. Gosh, her father is so intense! These noble people really are too much sometimes. Katerina coldly and sarcastically tells the weak Duke Linnick that she will repay him for telling her about her childhood, and that maybe one day Katerina will put the poison that she made for him into Duke Linnick's mouth, while also pouring on the Duke's lips a medicine that Katerina informs that the royal palace prescribed it. The next day, Charlize is busy checking the boxes and thinking about when she and Libet will meet. While looking at the list, a child calls her excitedly and asks Charlize if she remembers her. While Angel is trying to talk to Charlize, someone angrily grabs her and shouts at her that she must not dare stand in front of nobles. Angry at how the guy is treating Angel, Charlize then stops the guy and scarily tells the guy that during the time Duke Reynald was a prime minister, he specified the child labor law, thus he disobeyed the law. The guy ran away because of how scary Charlize looked. After the incident, Charlize asks Angel why she is working since the orphanage gives them free meals, but then realizes that Angel is saving for her to be able to find her brother Sasha. Charlize then gives Angel a job. Hearing this, Angel happily accepts the job. Our MC really has a kind soul. Angel is starting to tell Charlize about Libet's schedule, which she also finds amusing for Angel to know. A carriage is running toward them, but is stopped when Charlize comes face to face with the horse's nostrils. An elegant lady concernedly got off the carriage and asked how Charlize was. My gosh, that woman is stunning! Even our MC is amazed by how bedazzling she is. Charlize knows that this is her opportunity, so she quickly shows the woman that she has a scratch on her arm. Libet then invites Charlize to her mansion to treat a small scratch. Charlize then smiles and thinks to herself that she might be able to see the future again since she knows Libet's. The Empire is composed of 3 Duke families. the family of Charlize, the Ratas, the family of the Empress, the Linnick, and lastly, the family that got entangled with Charles, the Bayer family. And only the Ratas family has a daughter. Well, she should be recognized as a graceful lady, but with the evilness she had in the story, the Lady of the Golden Lily, Libet Ronatus, is the only one acknowledged by the elite, trying to humble her. On a quiet afternoon, the thoughts of Charlize are spoken out loud as she lies in her bed. She has surely moved according to the original story, but she saw nothing like a vision of the future. It was nothing near her expectations. It all boils down to the fact that only through the Grand Duke Calyx she can see the future. Should she make a move to be closer to him? Her thoughts are running deeper when a voice calls for her, the Beast God. The Beast God, who is in the form of a lizard, settles in her bed, downhearted. He was thinking of his master Charles. As dejecting as it may be, the lizard thinks that his master hates him. Well, hate is a strong word. He was probably just surprised by his appearance. Unlike the not-so-welcoming encounter of the two, the boy treated the Duchess much warmer, showing fondness for her. This gives an idea to the Beast God. She should worship him. The correlation? That we're not sure of. In the dining area, Charlize and her father are sharing a meal. A supposedly peaceful meal, but her father is evidently bothered. By what? Well, it's the sight of his daughter eating like she does not have a foot-long lizard dangling around her neck. It looks like she really is worshipping the Beast God. Secretly. Even though the sight is so bizarre, the two of them sure look adorable together. But there is another matter that bothers the man. The fake items coming from the Merchant Guild. With this great trouble, he asks for her emotional support, but she has greater things in mind with much greater goals needed to be achieved. It is now time to lend her hand and intelligence to their business. Is it genuine help coming from her as a daughter? No, she just needs a facade. After all, being a lady would only limit her in finding someone. A few days later, she heads to the maker of the fake items. Thankfully, she was able to remember the place according to the original story, just 3 miles from the capital. As she enters the place, the man immediately recognizes her. The man thinks lowly of her for not knowing that he has made fake items for their merchant guild. What an opportunity for him, but unbeknownst to him, it is the other way around. The man bites to the bait unknowingly, and they close off the deal. Now, what could be the Empress's reaction? On the other hand, at the mansion of the Grand Duke, Charles is playing Jenga with the Duke, losing 3 times in a row. Nevertheless, he is immensely grateful to his uncle. As they continue their uncle-nephew bond, the Duke notices one thing. The child has forgotten about the fairy Empress that took care of him. Could it be that his memories were taken from him? Just like any father, the only wish of the Emperor was the safety of his son, and so, on his deathbed, he asked his brother Calyx to take care of Charles. But this promise is no easy task. It was even harder when his power-hungry half-brother Antonio took over the throne, just because Calyx's mother was from a lowly family and the true heir was still a child. Moreover, it felt like the end when the palace was consumed by fire, and no body of the baby nor his mother was found. But hope has yet to wither for Calyx. He waited to be the Grand Duke of Elorden. His position was all he needed to formally ask for the Emperor's help, the use of an imperial magic item in discerning the real heir. 7 years later, just like a miracle, Charles came back. All he is hoping for is for the child to live normally just like any child of his age. And so they never talked about what had happened, trying to keep the bad memories away. However, it seems like there are no memories at all. He must find the truth. The Duke snaps back to reality as the child calls for his attention. He does not want to play anymore, rather he wants to write a letter for Charlize. Oh, what a sweet child he is. Contented of his output, Charles lets his uncle check his letter, but only to be tearily upset as the man teases him over a cute misspelled word of strawberries. Is it bad if he finds joy in his nephew's distress? Well, it only signifies that the child is finally open to showing emotions. In the Ratas merchandise, Charlize is surely taking time in the crafting plan to deceive the Empress, making sure that all is going smoothly. To start her plan, she proposes her new item to her father. The craftsman is definitely eager to deceive her as he sends a real item for the first sample. The pin is shining in beauty, and her father loves it, but this is not her goal. She is just waiting for someone to contact her, and after 3 days, the plan is on the move. The person she had been waiting for invited her over for tea. Across her is the Empress, who is not being so subtle with her agenda, the Duke's business. Let the trickery begin. The ladies, in their nice, prim, and proper masks, continue their chit-chat, particularly about business. Both certainly have their own hidden agenda, trying to lure out each other through kindness and gullibility. Charlize makes sure to be vocal about asking for a hand. She needs manpower for a new product, although it has come to the Empress that samples from the maker of counterfeit items are already sent. But she disregards this fact. After all, how often does an enemy call for help? On her way out of the Empress's place, she requests an escort to her carriage as she does not have a knight with her. But what is suspicious is that she requests a specific servant, Noah, the Empress's inferior. Does she know who this man is? The Empress hopes it is nothing but a random coincidence. But of course, Charlize Rainta makes her every move count. She knows who the man is and the potential he has. Being a servant of a scheming Empress must be hard, so upon approaching the carriage, she offers him to serve the Rainta family. But of course, as a man with dignity, his loyalty lies with his current master. The next day, she is waiting for the arrival of Charles when her mind pulls her into thought. The scheming Empress needs someone close to the child for him to manipulate him, and she is eyeing her. This is a danger to the child, and she does not want that to happen. Upon the arrival of her cute visitor, they stay in the garden while she watches him write and widen his vocabulary. As much as she enjoys adoring such a sight, the Duke arrives to pick him up. So to see the child smile once more, she gives him a flower ring. It is time to bid farewell, but the Duchess seems to be in sorrow. Why? They just have to say goodbye in the meantime and we'll see each other again, right? But when? Days after the last visit of the child, Charlize is by the window, wallowing in melancholy. Everyone notices her behavior, and they are genuinely worrying for her. Could it be the disappearance of the lizard or what? She knows that dwelling in her emotions will get her nowhere, so she must be strong and careful, especially her meeting with the Grand Duke will be lessened. She must divert her focus to finding the man aiming at her father. In the Merchant Guild, she is busy with her duties when Evan walks to her, delivering a letter from the Empress. It is the list of the craftsmen recommended by Her Majesty. The list is full of hoax craftsmen who are all her inferior. What an unexpected move from the Empress! Immediately, she sends the letter bearer to order 30 samples of the pin. It may be a lot, but it is all included in her plan. On the other hand, Noah is kneeling before his master, reporting everything he knows about the recent order of Charlize. It is expected that soon enough, the Duchess of Rainta will experience a bitter downfall. After all, it is expected for the man to eradicate all existing proof. But this vision is soon gone as Charlize is sitting right across her, reporting the deceit that had happened, even asking for permission to use the craftsman as an example, spreading awareness to everyone. Now, how can she deny such a request? Everything is happening according to plan, just as the Duchess has been expecting it. The craftsman is caught red-handed and is now on his knees, defending his shameful act. He cannot believe he is caught right away with his astounding skills. With no escape, he surrenders himself, admitting his crime. Now, he has to face the consequences. On the other side, Noah rushes to report the mishaps to the Empress. Trying to solve it, she commands him to sneak into the Rainta's mansion, but it will be impossible, considering that there's no clue about the place's internal map. Looks like Noah is of no use anymore. The Empress sends a letter to the Duchess to meet her the next day, acknowledging her hard work. She offers to extend her hand on the matter, but what surprises her is the request of Charlize. A trial? That would be an obstruction to her plan. And the Duchess is adamant that she cannot be swayed by any words of the Empress. Therefore, she concluded their meeting by giving her so-called support to the Duchess. But before leaving the table, she mentions the Grand Duke of Alarden, who is meeting the Emperor. According to the story, he'll be at the Garden of Blue Roses after the said meeting. It would not be bad to meet him there to ask for a favor, right? As she savors the night breeze in the garden, the Grand Duke arrives. It is such an unexpected encounter for him, but to her, it was not. Of course, he does not have to know that. They go for a walk and have a little chat. She shares why she's in the Imperial City and the counterfeit incident. The Duke analyzes the situation, and it looks like the Empress wants something from her. But she knows that she has to be alone to satisfy the Empress. Everything will be solved if she has no one. Hence, the Duke must be harsh on her. Now, it is clear to him why she has distanced herself even from Charles, and the Grand Duke does not approve of this. To the Duke, it is best to follow the Empress's scheme. They must be betrothed. His plan is absurd. Why would he be tied up with her? It will not benefit him. And why to her? Someone he probably, she assumes, hates. The Duke clears out that in no way he harbors hate for her. And he stands with his word. If she agrees, they can be engaged. This decision is not out of a rush, as he also gives her time to think. What could be the Duchess's answer? Alone in the library, Charlize is once again in deep thought as she tries to study. Well, she almost misunderstood the Duke, and no, she won't be engaged to him. Hence, she must do some studies to avoid further situations alike. What is she studying? Human relationships. Why? Well, she does not have anyone to rely on. No good friends, no anyone to interact with. Poor her. Her father enters the room, looking at her fondly, thinking that his daughter is such a workaholic. But as he reads the book she's studying, shock is an understatement. What does being an only friend of someone mean? It is nothing intimate and obsessive, right? Well, his only hope is for his daughter to befriend Countess, but no, she wants to be closer with the Grand Duke. This revelation forced the energy out of him. On the other hand, Charlize is devoted to her studies, even trying what she has learned from her very own father. Which appears to be effective, or was he just gullible? The silent night at the Alardin Palace is enveloped by small hiccups and sobs of the prince. The little one has a fever, but there's no way it is a curse as he is protected by an artifact that defends him from black magic. Calyx is surely worried about his nephew, but his mind wanders with the Duchess. She would rush herself to take care of the child, giving up her stubbornness. Oh, how endearing the sight could be! Charlize, on the other hand, is on a quest, setting foot against the harsh cold wind as they try to find someone in the middle of the snowy wilderness. Finally, a body! A body of a failed knight, Noah. How come his life is measured by how he can serve his master? Now that the Empress sees no use of him, she disposes him like trash. She helps him tend his wounds temporarily. Her actions are in no way rational to the fallen knight. How can she save an enemy's inferior? Specifically, the man who has spread rumors about her. But to her, the past must be left behind. He just needs to change himself to be better. The next day, the wounded knight faces the Duchess with his confidence and self-esteem lowered. He was discarded because of incompetence. Why would she pick up a useless and broken item? All his words are nothing, she has decided. She has chosen him already. Her words are like a soft care of comfort, causing him to fall on his knees and shower her with his gratitude. He makes sure of his usefulness as he immediately reports the last information he has. A news that is like a doom to the Duchess. The little prince has fallen ill. The illness of the little one has been talk among the elites. Symptoms of a fever among the royals are no joke. Historically, it is caused by a divine power before making a contract with the divine beast. But their talk is nowhere near the tone of concern, but rather of scheming greed, because surely anyone who can help the child will be paid handsomely. Contrary to the Grand Duke's theory of Charlize breaking her own rule, keeping a distance from Charles, she's actually very adamant about staying away from them. She just fervently prays for his healing from a distance. Just as the thoughts are running in her mind, she also finds herself running in a field. Why so? Well, her body is not in its best shape, and her health has gradually declined, so she needs to work on it. Accompanying her is Noah, who seems to be observing her intently, even thinking of how she has not yet placed her trust in him. It's the other way around for the Duchess and her unchanging face, which he uses as the grounds of his claim is just because of her clouded mind. In fact, she wants him to rely on her too, if ever he gets mistreated by other knights. On the other day, the Duchess makes her way to the temple, which instantly becomes the talk of the people there. In her hand is a stone. The beast met with Charles, stole his divine power, and turned to stone before coming back to her. Now she needs to restore its divine power. It is said that a way to increase divine power is through faith. She just needs to pray and find the power of the divine beast lurking behind the statue. But with the amount of people there and the attention she's getting, she cannot get started. She has to delay it and come back later instead. But just as she is taking a step backwards, a voice makes her halt. The Grand Duke is standing before her. They do a little greeting, but as the Duchess stares at him, she sees that Calyx is able to find one relic for Charles's illness, and it is in exchange for finding Count de Caen's nephew. The little one is supposed to suffer longer before finding the relic. Why is time running faster now? Originally, the symptoms of the little boy appear at the beginning of the hunting competition, and only after the Grand Duke found the relic was the boy hailed as a royalty. How did he find the relic? Her vision snaps as the man calls for her attention. The man notices that her stares are not normal. It seems like she's reading him. The Duke is surely observant to notice her actions, hence she needs to right herself before anything escalates. Honestly, he is staring at her so intently that I think my heart is melting. But before she can walk away, the man offers to walk her to her carriage, as he also needs to speak with her. As they arrive in her carriage, the Duke confronts her about why she is distancing herself from the child. Originally, she just used the child to get close with the Duke, but now she needs to distance herself because she's an outsider. She should not be interfering in their lives. But the Duke is able to pull her heartstrings, longing for the child suddenly. So instead of going home, she finds herself in the child's room, staring at the sickly boy who was calling for her in his sleep, also longing for her presence. Abandonment is surely laced with the false hope of them picking you up once more. This is exactly how the former Charlize felt before entering the assassination guild that taught her brutality she could never fathom. Killing is not within her principles. Hence, she was considered useless, but someone came and took her in. Someone she has considered her hero. Someone who showed her a glimmer of kindness that was later crushed by his deception and betrayal. He left her dying. He used her. These memories are forever etched in her. A trauma plaguing her, not wanting to trust anyone anymore. But the warmth of this little child radiates to her heart, undoubtedly letting him into her life. Charles slowly opens his eyes, and behold, the one he has been missing is in front of him. He immediately clings to her, even crying out of relief. The child falls asleep once again, but now in her arms, and upon his waking, he pours her worries, to which she responds gently, assuring him that he did nothing wrong. The boy is surely happy having the Duchess as a friend. Her moment with the boy boosted her confidence in making friends. How light and easy it is. So she tries it with others, and boy, it is not what she expected. Tea time with the other ladies is too much for her. She cannot know how to join their conversation, or she just doesn't know how to. As she starts conversing with them, she asks about her reputation, which is unlikely, but a little gossip about her would not hurt, right? Nothing really up but the counterfeiter incident. Gossip over tea time is surely handy at times, and a mini-bomb sometimes. Just as she learns that Marquise Lonatu's condition has worsened. Now what could happen? Libet is in danger. After receiving the report that Sasha is sick, Katerina starts to think and hope that it is not just a fever that Sasha is experiencing. She knows that Sasha is alive and the son of the former emperor, so he has the highest level of legitimacy. It is hard for her to execute her plan with the royal family backing Calyx. Katerina remembers the gift she sent Marquise Ratas and smirked, commenting that she hoped Lady Ratas would accept it. Well, she is a scheming witch. At the same time, while Rosetta and Irian are busy talking, Charlize is occupied with Marquise Ratas' condition and thinks Libet will be isolated in the mansion. Charlize's thoughts are interrupted when Irian personally invites her to her second exhibit and the event. Irian adds that even if the number of guests is small due to last time's explosion, Irian is confident that Charlize will be satisfied since Count the Conde sent her many times. A week later, when the invitation is publicly announced, Rosetta, Irian, and Charlize are at the exhibit venue. While walking, Irian tells them that the princess brooch was sold at a costly price during the last auction. Rosetta then curiously asks who paid that much to buy the item. After hearing this, Charlize remembers how her father excitedly showed her the princess brooch and told her it was his gift. She also thinks her father's actions are over the top, but she can't do anything about it. Her father is so proud of himself. He's such a loving dad. Rosetta then intriguingly approaches the statue, comments that it is famous, and gushes about it since it's her first time seeing it. Irian then excitedly explains to them that it is the work of Count the Conde, who is nicknamed the Collector. Hearing this, Charlize quietly agrees to Irian since de Conde is a talented man. But that's not the real identity of the Count since de Conde is also obsessed with collecting rare works. Thus, he is also called the owner of the erased relics. She then recalls how de Conde told Calyx that he would help ease Sasha's pain if he could find his lost grandson, but for some reason, Calyx is having difficulty finding the kid. So Charlize then decides to take the matter into her own hands. The following day, Charlize arrived at the orphanage and did not expect that donating to the orphanage would be helpful. Upon arriving, a woman greets and welcomes Charlize. When she looks around the playground to check if de Conde's lost grandson is there, a boy suddenly bumps into her, making the helpers panic. Then, the woman explains to Charlize that the boy loves glittery things, the reason why he instantly runs towards her. Charlize then carries the boy and starts to examine him. She notices he has brown hair and black eyes and is wearing a locket necklace. Upon opening the locket, Charlize sees a picture of a lady, which makes her think that it might be the daughter of de Conde, who died a year ago, and the boy might be de Conde's grandson. After that, Charlize announces to the servants that she will bring the boy home to check his condition since he's having difficulty speaking. While Charlize and the boy are walking back to the carriage, a blonde young boy is also suspiciously looking at them. The following day, Rosetta is in court for her guardianship. In court, Aklis starts crying and comments that she can't believe that Rosetta accuses them of deceiving her, since Rosetta did sign the papers. Rosetta then tells the judges that she did not sign the agreement and that it is not her signature. Hearing this, one of the judges asks Rosetta if she could give any evidence that it was not her signature. Rosetta then informs the judge that she has no evidence since she was reading in her bedroom back then, but tells the judge she knows that they paid the maidservant to testify that she did, which Hawthorne quickly objects to. The couple are fake people! Rosetta then tells the judge she has a witness to prove it and asks the witness to appear in court. Everyone is then surprised to see that Charlize is the witness. Arriving in court, Charlize shows the judge the past letters that Rosetta sent her and informs them that the signatures on the agreement differ from those on the past letters that Rosetta sent her. After verifying this, the judge agrees that the contract is void. After the grueling trial, Rosetta visits Charlize to thank her for helping her terminate the guardianship. She then bids her farewell soon after. Later on, while Charlize walks outside, Marquis Vonishel suddenly appears behind her and informs her that he has come as the Empress's representative. He then continues to tell her that a counterfeit merchant was found dead. Marquis then slightly warns Charlize by reminding her that a hunting club is about to open, so she needs to be careful. After hearing this, Charlize realizes she needs to avoid Katerina's eye. At the mansion, Charlize instructs Noah to send some items to the orphanage and then asks about the boy she brought from the orphanage. Noah informs her that the boy is now playing outside with the maidservant. Noah then hands Charlize a letter from the Bayers stating that Lucas is sick, asking her for a favor to check on Lucas. Charlize realizes that everything happened earlier than it should have in the past, so she quickly travels to the Bayers' mansion. Upon arriving, Charlize is welcomed by the butler and guided to the playroom where the cursed Lucas is. The butler also shows Charlize items that they suspect are carriers of the curse, but they can't directly destroy them since a second curse might make Lucas's state worse. Charlize quickly destroys them, which makes the servant panic, but then Lucas quickly gains consciousness. After destroying the bridge of the curse, Charlize bids her farewell. The Bayers family thanks her and says that they will never forget this favor. In the carriage, Charlize remembers that in the original story, even Calyx is having difficulty finding the holy relics at the right time, since Duke Bayer did everything to hinder Calyx. Also, there might be something behind this incident. Charlize then tells Noah they will visit the gallery and discreetly see Decand. Since Decand is the courtier of the first emperor, the imperial family hid the fact that Decand was finding his grandson because they knew that if they revealed his weakness, Decand could be taken advantage of. Therefore, to discreetly see Decand, Charlize plans to fake a chance meeting at the gallery. At the gallery, Charlize and Noah start talking about the painting and how she acquired an item, a picture with the same standard on a small piece of paper using only the nail. Hearing this, Decand approaches Charlize and asks her if she can also show him that item, which Charlize quickly agrees to, and tells him that she will take it to the Decand's house since she's not carrying it, since it's small and might get lost. Charlize arrives at Decand's house 3 days later, bringing the orphan boy. After seeing the boy, Decand asks if the boy is the one who got the picture, which Charlize agrees to and shows Decand the image in the boy's locket. Seeing this, Decand then carries and hugs the boy since he knows that it's his grandson. Oh, what a sweet reunion! After that, Decand asks Charlize what he can do to express his gratitude toward her. Charlize then asks if he can show her his treasure, which he quickly agrees to. Next, when they arrive at the treasure room, Decand tells Charlize she can bring some of her likes. Charlize quickly sees the relic that can help cure Sasha, thus she points to it and tells Decand that she only wants it. Meanwhile, Laban reports to Calyx that Charlize is seen at Decand's house and asks if he will ask someone to follow up on Charlize, which Calyx rejects. While they are talking, a servant announces that Charlize has arrived and is in the receiving room, which surprises them. Yeah, Charlize is one step ahead of you, Calyx. Calyx arrives at the receiving area and asks Charlize about the urgent matter since she came to see him directly. Charlize then hands Calyx the relics that can help cure Sasha. After seeing them, Calyx tells Charlize that he meant to look for them, but due to Duke Bayer's curse, he's having difficulty standing, which might be dangerous for him too. Calyx then thanks Charlize and states that Decand is not easy to give into, so she might have to work hard to acquire it. Thus, Calyx promises that he will grant anything to Charlize. Don't worry, Calyx. Acquiring the relics is like a walk in the park for Charlize. After hearing this, Charlize starts to realize that the events in the past are happening ahead of time. Thus, Katerina knows she's becoming impatient to know if Sasha will acquire divine power. Charlize then tells Calyx that she wishes for him to protect and save Sasha first if anything happens during hunting day, which Calyx agrees to and comments that he will do it even if she didn't ask for it. Soon after, Charlize is having tea with a suspicious Katerina. When Katerina comments about her visiting Duke Bayer's house and finding Decan's lost grandson, Charlize starts to act like everything is just a coincidence, which Katerina slightly believes. The day of the hunting arrives, and the Emperor and Katerina arrive at the place. They then present Linus of Rhenus as the winner of the hunting festival, and suddenly announce that Sasha, his nephew, will present the award. Sasha then approached the Emperor and Katerina. The Emperor then showed everyone a box, and informed them that it was a relic given directly to Rhenus and verified by the priest. Thus, anybody not in the royal family who touches the box will quickly experience an incident. The Emperor commented that nothing would happen since Sasha was his brother's son and hence a royal bloodline. This pathetic Emperor and Empress are both garbage for sabotaging an innocent child. When Sasha touched the box, a loud explosion suddenly erupted, causing the people and Sasha to panic and scream. While everyone is trying to process what happened, Duke Renaud quickly searches for Charlize and finds her lying on the ground while hugging Sasha. Duke Renaud quickly approaches them and asks if they're injured, to which Charlize quickly says no. Meanwhile, Calyx is furious about what happened since it was planned, but Liban reminds him to be calm and hide his expression since Katerina is watching. Calyx then starts to realize that Charlize was quick to catch Sasha, which makes them think that she knows there will be an explosion or something terrible might happen since she also asked him to protect Sasha during the hunting festival. He fails and can't do this since Elodin will be guilty of usurping the throne if he helps now. The Emperor then angrily announces that since the relic rejected Sasha, it proves that he is not of real royal blood, and since it was Charlize who presented Sasha, she's also guilty. Thus, he commands Charlize to be imprisoned for defaming the royal family. But Duke Renaud objects, making the Emperor question whether he also wants to use his immunity. After learning this, Charlize realizes that Katerina is attacking her and her father, who has immunity and freedom to move and do whatever he wants. She then announces that they don't have to do such a thing and wants to prove that Sasha is legitimate. Thus, Katerina asks the Emperor to give Charlize 1 week to prove it while acting like she cares about fair procedure. The witch is so fake and scheming! Calyx then asks if he can put Charlize under arrest in his mansion since Duke Renaud can't be trusted since it's daughter. Hearing this, Charlize realizes that Calyx is doing this to protect her and Sasha from being at the imperial family place. Thus, Katerina can't pull any tricks. The Emperor then agrees to Calyx after his suggestion. While they're walking towards the carriage, Charlize notices Lebet with Rhenus. Thus, she approaches Rhenus and informs him that his gift is well received, making him uncomfortable. Rhenus tries to deny any allegation, but Charlize looks at him and tells him that she will prove Sasha's legitimacy. Next, Rhenus angrily comments on how Charlize knows about the relic when he secretly delivers it to Lord Pinot. Lebet tells him he should not have followed the Empress, but Rhenus replies that he's doing it for their family since Ratas is getting sicker. Alone with her father, Lebet remembers how Katerina blackmailed them to give the box to Pinot, who later gave it to the Emperor. Thus, it might be the one causing the explosion in the hunting festival. That night, at the royal palace, the Emperor expressed his satisfaction about the outcome of the hunting festival. Katerina just smiled at him and handed him the potion, which he gladly drank and quickly fell asleep. After that, Katerina comments to the sleeping Emperor that if he knows the true power of the relic, he will not be happy. As she walks out, she thinks the royal divine power is gone, but luckily, she is not careless. She also remembers Calyx's reaction where he starts to doubt Sasha as the fairy prince. Katerina then plans to get rid of Sasha before he can fully develop his divine power. The following day, Sasha wakes up from a bad dream, and Charlize quickly comforts him. Sasha then asks Charlize if she will still be his friend even if he's not the prince, and Charlize assures him that if he is not the fairy prince, they can always go back to the Renauds to live there. Poor child, he is too young to experience those things. Soon, Calyx and Charlize meet, and he informs her that the nobles are more suspicious after the incident. He then tells her that he believes that Sasha is his nephew. Calyx also informs Charlize that Katerina might have touched the relic that determines the divine power before the hunting festival. The priest who verified it is also her subordinate, so nobody suspects it of being tampered with. After the meeting, Calyx tells Charlize to rest, but then she suddenly sees again the vision of a man who will kill his father. She tries to hide it by keeping calm in front of Calyx. 1 week passes and the day of the verification arrives. Thus, they are all in the room. Charlize then stands up and announces to the Emperor that she wants to clarify whether the magic tool that distinguishes the royal blood works well. If not, then Penot frames her as a traitor, which Penot quickly denies. Charlize then approaches the relic and asks Penot if she can touch it. The same thing will happen to her since she's also not of royal blood. She then quickly touches the relic, but then nothing happens. With this, Penot becomes anxious and tries to explain that Ratas is a family that has existed since the nation's founding. But then Charlize again touches the relic, making it shine, and then informs everyone that the relic's function is to react to divine power while showing a divine stone. After remembering how she acquired the divine stone at the temple's lake, Charlize smiles. Seeing the people's surprised and curious faces, since the imperial family's holy power is long gone, she explains that Sasha had already kept an item that contained the divine power when he fell into the temple's lake. The lake's power seeped into the necklace he wore during the hunting festival. She then informs them that the necklace also shatters after the explosion, hence she can't use it as proof. Penot then tries to object, but Charlize hands him the stone for him to try, which Penot confidently does. As he touches the relic using the divine stone, he quickly faints, thus proving that Charlize is right. He definitely deserved that. After the meeting, Charlize suddenly faints while she's about to ride the carriage. Luckily, Calyx quickly catches her. However, Charlize also makes eye contact with him, making her see another vision of the past. Charlize begging Calyx to love her, and Calyx rejecting the past Charlize. The following day, Charlize wakes up and sees a worried Sasha. Sasha informs her that she slept for 2 days, and then announces that he will call Calyx. As Calyx arrives, Charlize announces that she will return to her house. She makes eye contact again when she's about to walk past Calyx, but out of nowhere, Charlize again has another vision, seeing her father desperately wanting to save her while looking at their burning mansion. He regrets not asking Calyx to help protect her. After that vision, Charlize is shocked to know that she might die in the future. Charlize then remembers that in the past, the old Charlize was blamed by her mother's nanny since her mother died when she was 6 years old. After Charlize's mother's death, the nanny became more strict and always punished Charlize for any mistake. Even if the Duke knows what the nanny is doing and fires her, the nanny still believes that Charlize is to blame for Lady Ratas' death. That nanny is beyond reason. What right does she have to hurt a child even if it's out of grief? After these incidents, Charlize became colder and always punished the maid for anything since she believed nobody would love her and all the people were hypocrites. When Charlize turns 13, she attends a party. While outside, she hears the young emperor commenting about Charlize's coldness, but Calyx defends Charlize without him knowing that she's listening. Thus, at 13, Charlize meets with Calyx, whom she approaches and suddenly slaps. But then Calyx smiles and tells her that if she wants to slap him again, she might as well slap him on the other cheeks. He also tells Charlize that he worries about her, and because of the past, Charlize then starts to love or become obsessed with him. Charlize comes back to the present and then starts to wonder how she can die due to an explosion in the future, when in the past, she died because of the poison. Calyx then asks if Charlize is fine since she looks pale, but Charlize tells him that she is fine and wants to go home immediately. Next, arriving at the mansion, Duke Ratas warmly welcomes her, hugs them, and tells him that he's worried because of the incident. Charlize begins to hug back and question why the past Charlize didn't see how loving Duke Ratas is. When Charlize is in her room, she realizes that this is the first time in her life that she's experienced having a family, so she wants to feel the warmth a little longer. Charlize also thinks that the Emperor and Empress will not cause any explosion at the Duke Ratas mansion, which makes her feel sure that the person who will cause the explosion is a man with a mole in his mouth in her vision. Charlize then plans to learn more about that man, thus she instructs Noah to send her the noble's biography book. There, she finds that the man's name is Count Shame Fernan. Charlize remembers that Fernan's family had a close relationship with the Ratas family. It also has a tremendous political impact when Marquis Ratas, the head of the family, is very loyal to the imperial family. Shame Fernan is one of the devotees that accompanies the Marquis. Still, the two clans become indifferent when they disagree on the current emperor ascending the throne, since the Marquis can't readily accept the legitimacy of the current emperor. Thus, Charlize realizes that Shame is the henchman of the imperial family and quickly visits the Marquis to discuss the situation. When Charlize is about to instruct Noah, he informs her of Lebet's sudden visitation. 3 hours ago at the Empress's palace, while Katerina and Lebet were having tea, Katerina commented that she didn't tell the Emperor the truth about the relic and insinuated that she could have informed him who gave the relic to her, but chose not to. Katerina then hints that Libet must be more conscious of her next move. Oh my gosh, this witch is the mother of the blackmailer! Knowing this, Libet realizes that she should have been wary from the start, since there is much more than behind the gentle and pretty face of the Empress. Katerina then tells Libet that she must try to befriend Charlize, and tells her that it is the young master's fault. In return, Katerina promises to protect Ratas. Hearing this, Libet realizes that she has no way out, and that Katerina's end plan is to get rid of Sasha, since, after Sasha's arrival, there's a crack within the Emperor's faction. Libet agrees, even if she knows Katerina wants her to spy on Charlize. Still, she plans to only pretend to follow Katerina's orders and also intends to appease Charlize. After that, Charlize welcomes Libet after learning of her sudden visitation. When they are alone, Libet bows to Charlize and asks for forgiveness on behalf of her brother. She also informs Charlize that she doesn't know anything and promises that she'll do anything in return. Hearing this, Charlize remembers that Marquise was Katerina's only minion in the past, and she and Libet were mere tools for Katerina to succeed in her plans. She also recalled that Libet was framed for killing her father. Thus, Charlize tells Libet that she wants Libet not to be anyone other than her for the next month. If Libet does, she must tell Charlize immediately, which Libet agrees to. This is because Charlize wants to protect Libet from Katerina. After the meeting, Charlize smiles and feels lucky since she already has a reason to visit the Ratas' house. The next day, Charlize wakes up with Rosetta and Irian crowding her bed and starts to worry about her after they hear the news that Charlize fainted. Seeing their worried looks, Charlize assures Irian and Rosetta that she is healthy. Irian and Rosetta then suggest to Charlize that they must plot revenge for Pinot, since he is one of the reasons why Sasha was in danger, showing their deadly face. To which Charlize agrees, since it is mainly Pinot's fault and Eric was just a tool. During dinner, Charlize is shocked to see a lot of food on the table, only to know that it is her father's doing. Duke Reynat then shows up excitedly and tells Charlize that he put some effort into preparing after he hears that her friends are coming. He reminds her to enjoy spending time with her friends, then leaves. OMG, I love her father so much! After dinner, Rosetta, Irian, and Charlize spend the night talking and bonding, which is one of Charlize's dreams. The next day at the Ratas mansion, Charlize sits, feeling tired after the long night, bonding with Rosetta and Irian, who still look fresh. Katerina then arrives at the room and presents Charlize with her favorite tea. Charlize then notices the bruise on Libet's face and starts to be suspicious of who is hurting her. Eric then arrives and greets Charlize and makes her quickly notice that Eric's footsteps are strange, as if his legs are injured. Charlize suddenly tells Eric to lift his pants for her to see his legs, making Eric surprised and a little shaken, and asks Charlize if she plans to hit his calf. Charlize is shocked by his reactions, and Eric then tells her that she can't do what she wants since she's disrespecting him, a child of a dignified noble family. Hearing this, Charlize realizes things are worsening at the Ratas household and thinks the Fernan family is the reason for Libet and Eric's mistreatment. Oh no, I hope that Charlize can help them even if they've tried to sabotage Charlize before. Next, when Charlize is outside the Ratas mansion, she instructs Noah to investigate Count Fernan's relationship with the Ratas family and its real power, since she thinks she might have missed something. The following day, Sasha is enjoying the flowers with Liban. Seeing that Sasha loves flowers, Liban asks if he wants to pick some, but then Sasha replies that he only wants to visit the flowers with Charlize again. Sasha then remembers that he's supposed to meet Charlize every 4 days, and Charlize also feels excited and happy about the plan. Since meeting Charlize, unimaginable things have happened, such as Calix's mansion becoming a warm home, and Sasha and the others not being afraid to show their real emotions. At the same time, in the living room, Charlize informs Calix that she noticed their condition worsening during her visit to Ratas' house. Calix then tells Charlize that Libet occasionally has private conversations with Katerina and offers to help protect Marquise. The priest entering the Ratas household might also be Katerina's instruction. Hearing this, Charlize realizes there may also be a relationship between Fernan and the temple. She then suddenly meets Calix's eyes, which makes her envision Calix worrying about Charlize. After Charlize's vision, she realizes her father wants her to stay with Calix to be safe. This makes her think about how to remain at Calix's house without anyone being suspicious or questioning her. Because of this, Charlize suddenly realizes that the method the Empress came up with is better. being engaged with Calyx. Charlize uncontrollably blushes after thinking about being engaged to Calyx, which makes Calyx ask if she's fine, and she replies that she is. Ugh, why don't you both get married already? The next day, Charlize again visits Libet. On their way, Noah reports to Charlize that butler Ron Guesswell is currently the ruler of the Ratas household and is in cahoots with Fernan. However, when Libet finds out, she still has difficulty firing Ron. Thus, Charlize plans to track down Fernand's movements. Next, Charlize starts to plan how she can visit the unconscious Marquise without anyone being suspicious, since in the past, Marquise died due to fatal poisoning. That poison must be fed or scented discreetly, so Charlize wants to see Marquise's estate. Libet then asks Charlize if she wants to look at their garden, to which Charlize agrees. While in the garden, Charlize suddenly remembers about tuberose. Tuberose is not a poisonous type, but it is rare and is only found inside the temple. Thus, if someone sells it outside the temple, it will result in a heavy fine. But Charlize knows tuberose is poisonous and thinks it's not a coincidence that Marquise faints after discovering tuberose flowers in his house. Charlize holds Libet's hand and adamantly asks her how far she can go to save her father. Libet then replies that even if she is torn between answering her truthfully or not, Libet tells Charlize that she wants to save her father's life more than anyone. Thus, Charlize tells Libet that she knows that Libet is having a secret conversation with Katerina, and she also tells Libet that she already knows the Ratas family's current situation, which Charlize hints to Libet, while picking a flower, that she needs to look at the Marquise's estate. Next, when they go to the second floor, Libet instructs Ron to refrain from following her and Charlize since he is not needed. Ron then tries to protest, but Charlize looks seriously at Ron and slightly threatens him that if anything is to happen, she has her knight with her. Noah also emits a scary aura, leaving Ron scared. While they're inside the Marquise's room, Charlize notices that there is almost no furniture, which makes her think that the poison might have been given to the Marquise orally. Charlize then notices that the Marquise's hair tips are blue and asks Libet if it is natural. But Libet tells Charlize that the doctor said to her that it might be an effect of the antidote that the doctor prescribed. Hearing this, Charlize suspects that the poison is diluted in the medicine. Thus, she hands Libet the flower she picked and tells her to dip it in the medicine so that she can find out the truth. That night, Libet follows Charlize's instructions and realizes that the medicine that she gave her father is poison and that the doctors are in cahoots with Ron. Libet then tries to throw the poison, but stops and thinks that Ron might be suspicious. Thus, she proceeds to drink it herself. Drinking the poison isn't the smartest thing to do, also. A few days later, Charlize receives a letter from Libet saying that the Marquise is doing better and that they're preparing for a purge. After reading the letter, Charlize smiles and thinks she wants to avoid the ending like the original story. She can do this if she stays at Calyx's house, which can only be obtained by being engaged with Calyx. In the following days, Charlize plans to visit Calyx, and she abruptly kneels and asks Calyx to marry her. We love a girl who proposes first. A week before Charlize proposes to Calyx, Fernan suddenly arrives at the Ratas mansion. He then asks Libet and Eric to see the Marquise, but Libet quickly rejects this and tells Fernan that her father is still in a situation where the Marquise needs to be wary of outsiders. Ron then tries to guilt-trip Libet, saying that Fernan is not anybody since he and the Ratas family are longtime friends. Libet then gravely reminds Ron that he is just a butler and that even if their father has already regained consciousness, he has no right to dictate what to do, making her anxious. Libet then instructs Ron to show Fernan out. That's right, put Ron in his place. Outside, Fernan starts to panic and questions Ron about what happened and how things turned differently from what they planned. Fernan then remembers how the person who gave him the medicine assured him that once the poison is taken, it is impossible to wake up. The news of the Marquise's awakening spreads, thus, those who betrayed him and his family panic and try to visit the Marquise. Meanwhile, Charlize warmly welcomes Sasha to her home and then proceeds to greet Calyx. They make eye contact again, so she has a vision. In the vision, she sees a plan to assassinate Sasha on his birthday in a month. Charlize then realizes that the attacks will be fiercer since the Marquise regained consciousness, which is why her father wants her to stay with Calyx. Illudion is the second fortified castle after the royal palace. A few moments later, Sasha and Charlize are playing dress-up about the little hero and the brave princess because Sasha had informed Charlize that he loves that story. Since Sasha explicitly loves the scene where the brave princess looks for the little hero, they then reenact it. They also make Liban wear a dragon costume because of it. Oh, poor Liban. But Sasha is so cute, though. At night, Calyx reads Sasha a bedtime story. The story is about a long-lived dragon who wishes to meet the princess again if they are reincarnated, and the dragon promises to protect, love, and care for the princess. Noticing Sasha's droopy eyes, Calyx asks him if he already wants to sleep, which Sasha agrees to. After tucking Sasha in bed, they said, "I love you" to each other. Next, in the corridor, Calyx comments to Liban that Sasha really had fun today with Charlize since he looks tired. He then teases Liban by asking what the three played that morning. Liban feels embarrassed and tells Calyx that it was nothing. In the following days, while having tea with Rosetta and Iran, Charlize realizes that she has been seeing Sasha for 2 days, and the beast still has not responded, and has not visited Sasha for a long time. Rosetta then calls Charlize's attention, and Charlize asks what they're talking about. Rosetta starts to say that they're talking about a famous novel, in which the main leads begin as a contract couple and later fall in love with each other. Rosetta then hands Charlize the book, and Charlize scans the pages. Upon scanning, Charlize starts to get an idea that she can ask Calyx to have a contract engagement with her, and then she can live at Eludion without any suspicions. Charlize then quickly tells her father she wants to be engaged with Calyx. Hearing this, Duke Reynat suddenly faints. After regaining consciousness, Charlize asks her father if he feels better, to which her father replies that he has already calmed down. Duke Reynat then asks Charlize why she suddenly wants to get engaged, since it is evident that she didn't want to get involved with Calyx before. He then assures Charlize that she doesn't need to lie to him. Okay, I love Dad's reaction. He's very straightforward with his daughter. Duke Reynat then starts to voice that he is a bit worried, but he knows that she is not a capricious child. Thus, he will trust her decision. Hearing this, Charlize feels warm and touched because of the affection that her father shows her. Charlize promises she'll find a way to live longer with her father. The day of Charlize's plan to propose to Calyx arrives. While they're eating at a high-class restaurant where only the elites eat, and where all the rumors in society start, Charlize suddenly kneels in front of Calyx. She asks him to engage with her, surprising Calyx. Calyx then helps Charlize stand up while asking if Duke Reynat knows about her plan, to which Charlize directly says yes. Hearing this, Calyx then agrees with the engagement while placing the ring in Charlize's hands. Meanwhile, other noble stars gossip about what happened. While walking outside the restaurant, Charlize feels satisfied since the engagement contract is successful. With so many people at the restaurant, the rumors will probably spread throughout the Empire by tomorrow. That Lady Reynat has captured the Grand Duke of Eludion. Yup, gossip has wings. Charlize is distracted when Calyx asks if he can have her attention, and Charlize notices Calyx smiling at her. Looking into Calyx's eyes, Charlize starts to see Katerina and Libet talking. Also, during that afternoon, Charlize and Calyx's engagement spread. Calyx then comments that Charlize wants the rumors to quickly reach Katerina, since Charlize doesn't mind the man following them. Charlize then thanks Calyx while still calling him Grand Duke. Calyx tells Charlize that they need to stop formally addressing each other so that no one will get suspicious, which makes Charlize agree to it. The following day, Charlize receives 2 letters and a gift from Melissa: medicine. The butler then informs Charlize that she must drink it and leave nothing behind, which Charlize is unwilling to follow. Charlize then reads the first letter from Rosetta, and in it, Rosetta rants about Charlize not informing them first about her engagement, and that she only knows it from other people. The second letter is an invitation from the orphanage. Next, upon arriving at the orphanage where Charlize had found the Khan's grandson, the caretakers warmly welcome her and guide her to the tables to eat. Arriving at the table, a child is about to jump again towards her, but luckily, the caretaker stops it. As they eat, the kids start to enjoy the food prepared by a chef. After eating, the children begin to thank Charlize, which she finds so cute, but she continues to show a straight face in front of the kids. A kid then approaches Charlize, stating that Charlize might want them to greet again and present to greet on the kid's behalf. Charlize suddenly makes eye contact with the kid, which makes her have a vision. Thus, she asks what the kid's name is. The kid introduces himself as Rodante. Charlize then offers Rodante the opportunity to work as an accountant at Reynat, to which he agrees. After that, while traveling home, Charlize starts to remember her vision with Rodante, where the child follows a person, and their words are filled with the irony of her praising a god. But Charlize knows that he won't worship any since the gods cruelly took his sister. Charlize then realizes she only gets one vision daily, mainly before sunset. Next, while still traveling, the Beast suddenly surprises Charlize. She then asks where he has been, but the Beast tells her it's complicated to explain. The following day, Liban explains to Sasha that Charlize and Calyx are engaged. Upon hearing this, Sasha starts to get excited since Charlize will be his aunt. He also tells Liban that he already has a hunch that the two are in a relationship. Sasha then starts talking about excitement and happiness since he can always see Charlize daily. He also mentions having siblings, which shocks Liban. Okay, Sasha needs to hold his horses since having a baby is something else. Meanwhile, Charlize is in the meeting room with Calyx. Charlize starts to comment that the world is abuzz with the news about them being engaged and thanks Calyx for temporarily agreeing to engage with her. Charlize then approaches Calyx and tells him, with a serious tone in her voice, the truth about her intermittent ability to see the future. While waiting for Calyx's reaction, Charlize starts to remember that she had hidden her abilities in the past, which caused a misunderstanding. That is why she has now decided to come clean to him to avoid a misunderstanding. Charlize also remembers her conversation with the Beast, who has difficulty gathering divine power and is inaccessible after coming into contact with the sacred relic the last time. Also, the Beast asks Charlize to protect Sasha in the meantime, since it's having difficulty appearing at the Duke's mansion, a request which Charlize agrees to and accepts. After that, Calyx asked how Charlize could see the future. Charlize explains to Calyx how she could see the vision, and after that, Calyx thanked her, which shocked Charlize since she didn't expect his response. Charlize then explained that she wanted to stay at the Grand Duke's house to protect and quickly see the future, which Calyx felt thankful for Charlize trying to protect Sasha. Next, Charlize and Calyx agree to make Charlize look into the future by looking into Calyx's eyes now. Upon looking, Charlize sees herself smiling, and it seems they're celebrating her birthday. She also notices that Calyx looks at Charlize with gentle eyes. A few days later, Charlize visits a pastry shop and orders everything on the menu while telling the servant to prepare it carefully since she will give it to Calyx as a gift, because today she will move in at the Grand Duke's mansion. Charlize specifically tries to make other people hear so that they'll start to gossip about it. While waiting for the pastries, Noah asks Charlize if she'll be fine staying at the Grand Duke's mansion without bringing any bodyguards or maids. Charlize assures Noah that it's okay. Life as an official resident of Calyx's mansion is fast approaching for Charlize. Charlize follows as the butler introduces her to the room she is designated to be residing in while being in the palace. She recalls the setting of her old room in the palace in her past life, and it feels way too similar that she can even remember the placements of the furniture. Anyhow, the butler brings down her luggage and subsequently acquaints Charlize with her personal maid, Leah. Leah sees Charlize as someone half good and half mad, but within Leah's heart, Charlize is someone strict and intimidating. Hence, she slightly misconceives Charlize's body language as something scary. Talk about an alpha female lead! Correlatively, as Charlize asks the butler why she can't call him for whatever she needs, it feels like a threat to Leah, so she jolts and stutters as she offers to prepare the princess's bath and arrange her luggage. But Charlize refuses the offer and asks the helpers to prepare the desserts she bought a while ago for Sasha. Sasha sits eagerly beside Charlize as soon as the desserts are prepared. Charlize then introduces the cakes and pastries she's bought from the famous bakery in town and speaks gently towards Sasha about them. I just know that Sasha is giggling on the inside. Sasha, who is immensely attached to Charlize for her kindness, giddily takes a bite of the cake that the princess feeds him. Seconds later, his eyes glisten in excitement and joy as he compliments the flavor and taste of the cake. Just like what I thought. They then proceed to the other desserts until Charlize notices the Grand Duke not touching his share. He's not eating the desserts until the princess asks him about his preference. After much thinking, he tastes the desserts while he releases a cheesy line to let others believe his engagement with the princess to be real. She tries to shrug off the cringe until they finish dining. Later on, Liban accompanies Sasha somewhere while Charlize and the Grand Duke converse through the hallway. Curious enough, the Grand Duke asks Charlize if she ever regretted leaving the Duke's mansion. An idea pops into her mind to alleviate her reputation. She reasons out that it is a sort of retribution to stay in the Grand Duke's place from all the time she bothers him. He then shifts the mood and the topic to the postponement of their engagement so as to avoid the future that Charlize saw. Arriving at an agreement, they both want to focus on protecting Sasha more than anything as of the moment, which the two see as the more important matters as of right now, and rightfully so. They then accidentally encounter Sasha and Liban in the corridors, and immediately turn lovey-dovey and sweet. Sasha, as an innocent child, gullibly believes their stunt at some point. Soon enough, Charlize confuses herself of whether what happened was just a dream when she wakes up beside Sasha the next day. Hours later, they meet Rodante, a 14-year-old child from the orphanage that Charlize helped a few years back. Somewhere in Sasha's heart, a frustrating feeling lingers as he wonders if his Aunt Charlize is meeting a new friend again, like how he met her. Our jealous little boy! Sasha and Charlize meet with the Lianta Guild and the young boy. At this juncture, Charlize stands up and tries to blabber words to herself while pacing and offering more helping ideas to Rodante. Her offer stops as she sits close to Rodante, almost just inches away from the young boy's face. She stares at him as if learning his features. Little did anyone know, she's actually trying to foresee Rodante's future, but she fails. Charlize, in her mind, desperately wants Rodante to be on her side in order for the story to flow as she plans. As a result, she tries to become someone he feels indebted to, hopefully making him side with her in the future. Hence, she bolts up from the couch holding up Sasha as she subtly hurries to leave. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Sasha continues to gaze at Rodante's face while the vehicle moves. Noticing such, Charlize asks him about it, and he quickly shakes his head as he props up to an upright position. Sasha looks less energetic today than the past days, so Liban tries to speak with the butler and Charlize about it and attempts to figure out what's going on. The boy is sulking, eh? A little while later, the princess shares about their meeting with the young boy she helped years ago and is now part of the Lianta Guild. Then, minutes after, a conclusion arrives in Liban's mind. He thinks that Sasha is frustrated for being aloof and isolated from friends right after he was banned from going out due to the accident at the lake. They then panic a little as to how to lift up the heir's mood. Charlize begins to speak about ideas, including kids that she can introduce to Sasha to let him make new friends. The next day, with high hopes, Charlize raises both her hands to symbolize her perseverance to read Calix's future despite her failure yesterday. But as soon as she knocks on the Grand Duke's office door, no one answers her greetings. She then tries to lean on the door in an attempt to know if someone was truly there. Yet what surprises her is the sudden opening of the door, making her lose her balance. Because of that, she falls into Calix's arms. Realizing what has happened, she tries to bolt away from him and apologizes for running away suddenly, while the Grand Duke apologizes for not receiving her properly. Just like a scene from the movies. And still, Charlize's body feels heavy just seconds after she falls into Calix's grasp. A dream becomes vivid as she goes unconscious. A sight of her past self with the Grand Duke in his office. Calix tries to stop Charlize from using the poison on Irian. As he continues his explanation, he struggles to finish his sentence because Charlize cuts him off with her pitiful, villainous lines of obsession and desperation. She then realizes that these dreams aren't exactly what happened in the past. She begins to panic as she starts to realize that it seems like she's borrowing someone's point of view. Ooh, things just got more dramatic. Charlize needs to come back home to the Duke's mansion to have herself checked by a doctor since she has fainted twice in a row already. The Grand Duke is about to call the doctor to come to the palace, but people will think wrongly of it and will assume what they want about the health of the nobles, especially since both of them are in their engagement phase. Hence, without a choice, Charlize comes back home and greets her father. Her father almost bolts towards her like lightning and begins to cry in front of her, asking where it hurts or where she feels bad or worse. What a cute father and daughter relationship we have here. She stops him from being overdramatic, hence a sudden change in mood occurs. Her father demands the private doctor to come in and examine the princess. So as the princess lies down on her queen-size bed, the examiner meticulously notices the small differences in the princess's condition, including her skin color, the texture of her hair, and even the slightest increase in heart rate. Right after, the doctor enters the room almost frantically. He then delivers the news that the princess's labs are good and she's in great condition. However, her father demands another round of testing because he does not believe that she's okay when his little princess has fainted twice already. The doctor and the Duke continue to converse, right until Charlize stops them from giving her another round of exams again. She explains that all that is happening is perhaps because she's falling in love with the Grand Duke. You got us there, Charlize. What a silly excuse to shut up everyone. She makes it sound so real that her father gives her a soulless expression, almost collapsing from what he's hearing. But because of what she said, no one argues and all goes calm. At night, she decides to stay in their mansion and come back to the Grand Duke's place in the morning. Not only because it's already dark enough to travel, but she's also worried about her father's reaction a while ago. More importantly, she ponders on the need to find out why she keeps fainting these days. Suddenly, the cute beast appears in front of her, floating. The beast followed her energy, so to speak, with her regarding the relic that Charlize activated. It seems to have a connection to her fainting episodes, and so she suspects that if it were just a coincidence that every time she faints, the relic activates, perhaps it is indeed magical. Moreover, the beast just informs her that he came to check up on her and Sasha. It then reminds the princess to stay healthy until he regains more of his power and strength before he disappears and fades away. Then, Charlize feels an eerie discernment, a sentiment of killing or potentially a feeling of assassinating someone, a familiar sensation. Oh no, danger is coming! She immediately ran to Leah, her helper's room, so she could conduct her plan of catching whoever's up to assassinate her. Will Charlize successfully protect herself and defeat the enemy? We can all just hope. In Leah's room, Charlize calmly initiates her plan. She knows that someone, potentially the assassin who followed her from the Grand Duke's place up to her mansion, is also initiating his plans as of the moment. Leah, on the other hand, is confused as to why the princess suddenly barged into her room to sleep beside her, stunned enough to even ask the princess's purpose. Nonetheless, a short period of silence envelops the room. Charlize prepares for the man as she covers herself fully with the blanket, leaving Leah's body half covered. Before the man can even strike his sword towards the princess's side, she already has her sword on his neck. The assassin is baffled by this occurrence that he can only lie flat on the floor in defeat, failing to do his job. And right on time, Noah arrives, coming from the door and wondering what the commotion was all about. He asks the princess what she was doing to a masked guy, and she just commended Noah for doing what he was told prior to the attempted murder. In the dungeon, Charlize faces the assassin and hands him a piece of paper. She wants the assassin to give the paper to whoever commanded him to kill her. As soon as she is done, she leaves after telling Noah to free the assassin. Days have passed and nothing is really happening. She even pretended to her father as if she hadn't caught the assassin. And due to the previous incidents, Charlize granted Leah a vacation to rest before returning to the Grand Duke's mansion. During those days, she just plays with Sasha. Charlize is already at the Grand Duke's mansion, and they are planning to throw a grand party for Sasha. After the planning, Charlize has only decided now to tell the Grand Duke regarding the past events that happened upon her. She tells him about the recent incident of attempted assassination when she was still in Ratas. And now, knowing who's behind all these, she's planning to kill the mastermind. Things just got more and more interesting. I can't wait to see how things unfold and how the princess will protect herself from the enemies. Surely the Grand Duke will be all out in helping her. A new day unfolds as Charlize and Calix stroll through the bustling shopping district of the capital. On the surface, their mission is simple: find a present for Sasha. But beneath lies a darker purpose: to draw out the failed assassin sent by Count Fernan. Their first stop is a glamorous costume shop. The moment they enter, the staff can't hide their excitement. The Grand Duke and the enchanting Charlize together? It's like a romance novel come to life. Giggling and eager to impress, they bring out their most exquisite dresses, eager to see Charlize shine. Charlize begins trying on an array of stunning gowns. The colors, emerald, ruby, sapphire, dazzle like precious jewels, and every dress seems to enhance her natural elegance. But just as Charlize starts feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, Calix insists she try on one last dress. Reluctantly, she agrees. When she steps out of the fitting room, dressed in an ethereal blue and white princess gown, the room falls silent. The staff were practically starstruck. Even Calix is completely captivated. Without missing a beat, he takes her hand and kisses it gently, murmuring his admiration. Then they turn to their real objective, flushing out the lurking assassin. Splitting up to create the perfect opportunity, they wait for the attacker to make a move. The assassin takes the bait and targets Charlize, but his attempt is a failure. Charlize moves with speed and precision, defending herself with flawless swordsmanship. In moments, the assassin lies defeated. Bow down to this queen. She's beauty, she's grace, and she wields a blade like a pro. Calyx arrives at the scene. His surprise is evident as he sees Charlize's swordsmanship skill. He approaches her, his expression softening as he takes out a handkerchief to gently wipe the blood from her face. Then, like the classic gentleman he is, he drapes his coat over her shoulders. As Charlize looks up at him, she can't help but wonder why Calyx always worries about her so much. Her cheeks flush at the thought. Admit it, Charlize. He's got you blushing, and we are all here for it. In a dimly lit room, a sinister plot unfolds. The Duke, trembling with fear for his own life, listens intently to his master's cold command: assassinate Princess Ratas. This time, failure is not an option. Lost in his thoughts, the Duke broods over the malevolent scheme to eliminate Charlize. Suddenly, a loud knock shatters his dark reverie. Irritated as ever, he stomps towards the door, ready to lash out at his hapless servant. But to his shock, in strides Charlize herself, exuding an aura of authority. Her first words are convincing and precise. Charlize accuses the Duke of orchestrating an assassination attempt against her. The Duke freezes, his expression morphing from irritation to outright terror as he realizes that Charlize stands before him alive and well. In the living room, a nervous servant enters with a tray of tea. The Duke, ever the schemer, offers the cup to Charlize, but she doesn't even blink. Her sharp instincts tell her something is suspicious. Poison, perhaps? Feigning innocence, the Duke insists it's all a misunderstanding. Charlize, however, is relentless. She challenges him, have the servant drink the tea first. The Duke hesitates, but ultimately orders the poor man to take a sip. Hours later, the servant collapses, confirming Charlize's suspicions. Without wasting another moment, Charlize storms out of the mansion, her mind racing. To her surprise, the Grand Duke, Calyx, is waiting for her outside. She hands him a vial of the poison retrieved from the mansion and requests an investigation. Calyx, ever dependable, agrees without hesitation. As Charlize ponders the tangled web of danger she's caught in, her thoughts turn to the Empress. Could the Empress be involved behind the attempts on her life? Discussing their suspicions, Charlize and Calyx hatch a plan. Spread the word that the Duke attempted to assassinate the princess. A scandal of this magnitude will undoubtedly rattle their enemies. But amid the plotting and strategizing, Charlize's focus wavers. Her gaze lingers on Calyx, who looks every bit the dashing hero. In an unguarded moment, an inappropriate thought crosses her mind. Oh no, not now, Charlize! Flustered, she quickly excuses herself, cheeks burning with embarrassment, and retreats before her thoughts betray her further. A princess has her limits, after all. At the Empress's palace, Charlize and Sasha join the Empress for a seemingly innocent tea session. As the trio settles in, the Empress casually inquires about Sasha's birthday wish and mentions preparing a gift for Charlize's engagement. But beneath Charlize's poised demeanor lies a storm of suspicion. She's convinced the Empress conspired with Duke Ferdinand to have her killed. Talk about awkward tea time thoughts. Still, Charlize plays the part, keeping her composure as she digs for clues to fuel her investigation. And then, boom, the Empress drops a bombshell. She's pregnant. Charlize grows in shock. The Empress even swears them both to secrecy. Later, at the Grand Duke's residence, Charlize and Calyx discuss the Empress's shocking announcement. They piece together their scattered thoughts, but once again, Charlize's mind drifts. Focus, girl! Embarrassed by her wandering attention, she swiftly wraps up the conversation to excuse herself. The next day, Charlize pays a visit to Rodante, the illegitimate son of a count. Rodante is baffled by this sudden royal interest. What could the princess possibly want with him? Rodante, however, harbors a dark secret. He possesses magical powers and uses them to illegally manufacture and sell holy water. As Charlize speaks, his mind drifts to his painful past, being adopted into a mansion he despised, the loss of his beloved sister, and the discovery of his powers as a means to survive. He's heard his fair share of unflattering tales about Charlize, but never cared enough to pay them any mind. Now, her visit has him on edge. Charlize surprises him by offering him a position at the Ratas shrine. She ends the conversation with a parting piece of advice. Take good care of yourself. However, Rodante interprets this as a veiled threat. Unbeknownst to him, Charlize has already glimpsed his future and is secretly strategizing ways to save him from his fate. Yes, Queen, we love an MC who's smart. On a fateful day, Rodante finds himself in a life-threatening situation, running for his dear life when, out of nowhere, Charlize swoops in to save him. She catches Rodante red-handed in his illegal dealings. Despite this, she offers to be his guardian. Naturally, she demands an explanation, and Rodante hesitantly bares his heart. His shady schemes aren't born out of greed, but a desperate attempt to reunite with his long-lost sister. Touched by his story, Charlize proposes a deal. She'll help him find his sister if he agrees to abandon his wicked ways. Rodante, overwhelmed with gratitude, accepts her offer. After parting ways with Rodante, Charlize dives straight into another challenge with her squad, planning Sasha's birthday celebration. The gentlemen throw around grand ideas for gifts, from extravagant treasures to rare sapphires for the former prince. Meanwhile, Charlize suddenly realizes she's been so busy lately that she hasn't prepared anything. Oh no, the princess is panicking! As the men proudly flaunt their lavish gift ideas, Charlize grows increasingly uneasy. Sapphires? Seriously? How's a girl supposed to top that? Determined to give Sasha something truly special, she rallies the ladies for a brainstorming session. Amid the flurry of ideas, Irian suggests a clever plan. Why not ask Sasha directly, but discreetly, of course, about what he wants? Fueled by this suggestion, Charlie seeks out Sasha and cautiously tries to uncover his birthday wish. What could our boy want? Something sentimental? Something priceless? Stay tuned, because this princess is ready to deliver.
So guys, what do you think of this story so far?
Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!